And now it appears Postmates couriers are protesting. Hey everyone, this is Kevin the Apptrepreneur, and we've been talking a lot about the strikes and protests for Uber and Lyft. Basically, people are not getting paid enough on Uber and Lyft. We know this to be a fact. Some people do make it work. I'm not saying there isn't anyone out there that doesn't make it work. In fact, there are YouTube channels that show them making $2,000 a week, sometimes more. So people can make money doing Uber and Lyft, but even if you are one of those people that make over $2,000 a week, you're still underpaid, and you could still be making a lot more money. Well, it's not that different from Postmates and DoorDash drivers either, who in some ways make less money, although they also have a lot less expenses, so kind of evens out. Well, Postmates drivers are getting a little fed up, and they have hatched a unique little protest that will not only, how should I put this? It's going to really challenge the whole independent contractor status thing, because it shows them using it in a perfectly legal way that falls under the IC contract, while technically being involved in surge, or in this case, Blitz manipulation. However, before we talk about any of that, let's have a word from our sponsors. Times are changing for gig workers and the gig economy, and there are a lot more gigs from a lot more companies than there used to be. That's why when people ask me where they can go to find resources for the gig economy, I recommend gigworker.com. At this site, you can see what other gig workers are doing and discover better opportunities from industries, companies, resources, and even a forum where you can talk with other people in the gig economy. Gigworker.com is a great resource site, whether you work for Uber, Lyft, Postmates, DoorDash, TaxRabbit, Thumbtack, Upwork, whatever. There's a gig for you, and there's a forum for you on gigworker.com. Gigworker.com for all your gigs. Here we go from Willamette Week. Portland Postmates workers to join national protest of pay cut by only accepting surge price deliveries. Yes, this is actually going to happen. And yes, we have talked about surge manipulation. Is this surge manipulation? Technically, I believe it is. This is a bunch of workers getting together and doing exactly what it says. And we haven't even started the article, but I know this is how it's going to work. And they are saying we are going to leave the app off until it blitzes. And when it blitzes, then we'll accept the rides, because we'll make more money that way. And when it's not blitzing, we'll turn it off, make people pay more money. That's their way of protesting. Now, of course, what's interesting about this is that Uber and Lyft, Postmates hasn't really commented it because until now it didn't really wind up on their doorstep, have pretty much said that's against the terms of service. Surge manipulation is against our policy. People who are caught doing it will be deactivated. And by the way, for that reason, I do not recommend you do this. However, I take a more unique position compared to some of my other UberTuber friends out there who think this is a scummy move, because I actually don't think it's that scummy, to be perfectly honest. I mean, I think that they're actually doing what they're allowed to do. As part of being an independent contractor, you are allowed to get on and off whenever you want. If there is a time you are driving and it's like, I'm not going to make enough money to justify driving, you don't turn the app on. And then if you wait there a while and it's like blitzing, it's like, oh, well, now I'm making enough money to actually do this, then I personally don't see a problem with that. I know why Uber and Lyft don't like it. I know why Postmates won't like it. I certainly know why the customers aren't going to like it. Doesn't matter. I think the independent contractor status actually allows for this to happen. Well, anyway, let's look at what Willamette Week has to say about this. Postmates drivers might not accept your salt and straw order on Saturdays, which, by the way, Saturday has passed, so I don't actually know what the results of this are, but I'll follow up on it if there is something. That's because Portland contractors for the food delivery service plan to join a nationwide protest of a recent pay cut by only accepting Blitz mode deliveries, which are similar to Lyft or Uber surge pricing. Workers say the company cut pay on May 18th by about 30%. Oh yeah, that's about what Uber and Lyft cut. The June 15th protest is an attempt to force a raise by refusing jobs that aren't in Blitz mode. Quote, the goal of the Blitz up is to literally make Postmates pay more for the day and make our demand for higher pay a reality, organizers of the protest wrote. A spokesperson for Postmates says the company encourages workers to, quote, express their direct feedback on products, policies, and standards across the platform, and that it is meeting with the group organizing the protest to, quote, balance worker protections with worker flexibility in the new era of work. So here's the thing. Already from the get-go, Postmates' response is a heck of a lot better than what Uber's and Lyft's was. Because Postmates, they know what this is. So did Uber and Lyft, for that matter. But Uber and Lyft they want to use their fear tactics like, hey, people who do this, you might not have a job anymore. Like, try it. Go ahead, try it. You might not have a job if you decide to do this. Whereas Postmates are, I'm sure Postmates wants to say that, and I'm sure Postmates are within their right to terminate you if you are doing this. However, at least publicly, they have stated that they want direct feedback and they will be meeting with people to discuss the future. That is step one. Now, whether something actually comes from any of those meetings, we still have yet to see that, but it's a start. The protest provides an illuminating window into the lives of gig economy workers who work as contractors for online delivery services like Postmates, Caviar, and DoorDash, drive cars for Uber and Lyft, or recharge electric scooters when the batteries run out. Jeffrey McAllister, a local Postmates delivery person, says the pay cut means he no longer gets a base pay of $4 per order, which is really low. I will say they're not getting a cut as much, because when I started doing this like a few years ago, and for the record, I actually still do some Postmates and Caviar, they were paying $5 a delivery. So, it's not fun. However, I didn't go from like making $2.30 a mile to making 60 cents a mile. I went from making $5 a delivery to $4 a delivery, although apparently they've cut that again. McAllister, 45, works for Postmates full-time and says where he was making about $4.50 per delivery, he now only gets about $3.30, which is pitiful. He works for around 10 hours per day and completes around 10 to 12 deliveries. Quote, "This is part of the path of salvaging my life. I was one of those troubled kids that got into drugs and became homeless. I'm getting my life back together." Well, good for you. "I've had a long, tough life. This is the material end of my self-betterment program, so to speak." Similar protests took place nationally in January when workers with Instacart, a service that delivers groceries to your door, learned that the company was using tips to subsidize earnings. So yeah, for whatever reason, unless it's Uber Eats, of course, the food companies seem to be a little better about listening to these protests. Now, I don't know what's actually going to come of this. In fact, we might even find out today, and I'll be posting an update video tomorrow. However, this is, again, why protests are still important. Because at the very least, Postmates seems to suggest that they will be meeting with the drivers who are organizing this protest and talking to them personally. Who knows? Maybe something will actually happen. We don't know. Because here's the thing. When you go online to these boards, DoorDash sucks. DoorDash absolutely sucks, and they will not help you in any capacity whatsoever. However, most of the other food companies have a fairly decent reputation of if you talk to them, if you make a protest, they will listen and they will do something about it. So, who knows? Maybe something will actually come of this. Not going to make that promise, of course, but we will have to wait and see. And that's where I'm going to leave this right now. Again, I'm kind of in a unique position. I, of course, wholeheartedly encourage you not to do this because you don't want to be deactivated, of course. However, you are, as an independent contractor, legally allowed to do this, and if they say otherwise, that might violate the independent contractor status, which would at the very least warrant some arbitration. However, I leave that up to you. Be very careful whatever you decide. And for everyone else, what do you think of this? Did you join this? Do you think it's going to make a bit of difference? I would love to know. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe. If you enjoy my videos, consider becoming a Patreon member. It's totally optional, of course, but even as little as $1 a month goes a long way to helping the channel run smoothly, and you get access to my Patreon's exclusive blog. Also, if gas prices are getting to be a little too much for you, check out the GetUpside app below. It's totally free, but you get cash back on every gas purchase. Subscribe to the Apptrepreneur Vlogs channel. There's more content from me there, a little different than what's on this channel, so I think that's a good thing. And if you want to talk to me or other fellow Postmates delivery people, check us out at the Apptrepreneur Hangouts on Facebook. Oh, and as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.